Twitch, wherever else I have this going. Getting ready to do a live enlightened conversations here with Shalane. We're going to connect on Instagram first, and then we'll join. So I'm going to go live on Instagram now, Shalane, and then we won't mute ourselves on Zoom, but just the sound, like you can hear me coming out of your computer right now. We'll just mute the sound on that so that you can't hear me anymore.
Shalane.
Oh, did I mess it up? I butchered it myself.
Man, I was doing so good. You were messing it up. No, overthinking.
I got it now. It's a I don't know how you say it. Strong. What do you say? High A or strong A? I don't know how you do it, but it's a Shalane. I got it. A.
Yeah. But like really, if you look at it, it's phonetic, and I think people want to complicate it because they're like, this is unique. And I was like, Shalane.
I like it.
Super easy.
Okay. All right, you guys, we're going live on Instagram. I'm live now, Shalane, and you guys will be able to hear Shalane once we connect here on Instagram. Awesome. Hello, everyone. Getting ready to do a live enlightened conversation here. I see you. Boom. All right. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to tag you with energy healer. You're okay with that? Me introducing you as energy healer?
Yeah, that's what I tell people.
Okay.
It's a little bit more than me, so I feel like it encompasses a lot.
All right. Carter, ask questions if inspired. Okay, so all right, let's figure out this echo. For you, so your computer, are you on a Mac?
I am.
Did you mute the sound on the top of your computer?
Okay, I muted the sound on my computer now.
Awesome. Now we're good. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I'm always happy when people say they're on a Mac because I don't know how to give instructions on a PC.
You're like, please,
I'm like, there's a volume button somewhere on the PC, but I don't know where it is.
Feel around for it.
All right, let's do it. All right. Set up my little tripod and then we will begin. Hello, everyone. Cool. All right. It's dark here in my place. Some natural light will come in for me here.
Right. Well, that's what I heard, that my light setup was good, because if these are open, you can't see me. But if I have like, I've got all these like lighting, it's like, oh man.
I look brighter on the Zoom. I don't know why my phone doesn't look as bright, but it's okay. You guys can still see me. All right, let's do it. Let me hit record. Perfect. All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Excited for today and have an awesome guest with us in the Las Vegas, Nevada area here in the U.S. and excited to connect with Shalane Carter, who is an energy healer and awesome human being that I came across her Instagram page not too long ago and immediately reached out to her and told her I appreciated the light that she was sharing with the world and asked her if she wanted to have a fun conversation with me. And here we are today. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Shalane. And Shalane, if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, any of this good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's interesting because I was telling you, I love like what you're sharing. I love the conversations that you're having with people. So I feel like definitely like a really good fit. But I do energy healing work. So a lot of people are familiar with Reiki, which utilizing the energy centers within the body, create environment within them so that you have a more harmonious life in general, because your energy reaches all aspects of your life, your relationships, your business, how you feel about yourself. And what I do, I've always been a little bit more intuitive. And so some of the healing that I do, I utilize my abilities. I hate to use the term like psychic, because people think it's prediction and not. I'm just reading your body of not just what's happening, what has happened in the past for you, childhood, things that are really stored in there. And then I also use a little bit of Chinese medicine, some meridian work, and I have a background as a personal trainer and a yoga teacher as well. So some of those modalities come in, because what I found is a lot of times when people do healing work and energy work, sometimes they take out the physical part of healing, and you can't separate your energy from your body because it is one and the same. So I utilize a lot of tools like food and movement and breath and things of that nature, and kind of give my clients like soul homework. You don't just, and I do the work. I don't do any of the work. I just hold the space for you to do the healing. So then I give them stuff on the in-between that they can do, that they accessible. But I've just, from the beauty, I built a business there, and I recognized there was this, what I did different was hold space for people. I had clients for years and years and years that people are like, how do you always stay so booked? How do you always have these great relationships? I've been invited to weddings and baby showers and all these things for clients, and I recognized that what I was doing was I was actually unintentionally doing some healing work. It wasn't, I became more aware of kind of some of the specifics of it, that I was like, well, shoot, you got 2 for 1 this whole time. So it just kind of, I led into that, and that's what I do now. And it's been such a blessing and such a ride, and very, very cool to just be able to really serve people in a way that is not scary and not woo-woo and not, I think sometimes people hear like energy healer and they're like, yeah, bust out all your like sage and your crystals. And I was like, I do that, but like, I always create it to be the most approachable, visible, applicable, like, the kind of like smoke and mirrors out of it, and just giving it for what it is. So
I love it. I love it so much. And I like to also take the woo out of energy as well, because we live in a time, all of us, for everybody out there, where in 2020 and beyond, like energy, we talk about, we're all energy, and you guys hear all these things. Well, we can actually measure the energy that we are currently being here in 2020 scientifically. Like, there's tools now to where I've seen Shalane tools where I've measured the energy coming from my thoughts. Like, this thought leads to my frequency, raising. This thought leads to my frequency lowering. I've seen them put like a device around to measure the energy from my heart. Like, it's super interesting what we can do scientifically now. And so maybe 20 years ago that might have sounded far out there, and maybe for some it still does. But I invite everybody to really explore when we say terms like we're all energy, what that really means, because I just know that at every moment of life, we're all vibrating at some frequency that can be measured. And we use words, I only speak English, so we use English words like, happy or sad or depressed or anxious or, loving or whatever it is, to just label the energy, which really is a frequency that can be felt in the body, and really determines what we're going to see reflecting out. Like Shalane, I messed her name up in my brain now. I had it perfectly. I shouldn't have asked. I should have just kept saying it the way. Now every time I'm thinking about how do I say this, but I have the high A, so I'm gonna keep reminding myself that. But yeah, so no, I'm happy that we started on this track. I'm curious for you, Shalane, and any of you guys that have questions that are watching live. If you're on any of the streaming places besides Instagram, join us on the Zoom if you're inspired to, and you guys can ask questions there. And then on Zoom, you guys can put the questions in the question box. And Shalane, anything I say that you want to chime in on, go for it. And I have questions that will come out if they come out, and if not, that's okay too. But
perfect.
yeah, but I'm always curious because we jump right in and people are like, wow, Shalane does all sorts of things and she has all this like knowledge and awareness, is helping all these people in these different ways. What I know about all of us is we all come here to this earth as like little unconditionally loving little babies, and then for most of us have a time of forgetting who we truly are. Maybe it's a time of comparing ourselves to other humans, or wondering, are we worthy, or are all those humans over there, they can have their goals and dreams, but me, for some reason, I can't. All these things, and then it's my hope for everyone that the light bulb comes back on, and we can remember who we truly are, and then really enjoy our life and create what we came here to create. For you, how did it work? Did you go from unconditional loving little baby and just poof, like what we see here today, or was there some type
I've
of
always been an unconditional loving little baby. Still. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I feel very fortunate. I grew up in that my mom was a single, but shortly after I married my stepdad, and was actually shown a very dysfunctional relationship. But my mom did a really great job of always, I think, in a space that felt that we weren't missing out. And she raised us very religious, but on the flip side, always this spirituality. Like, we were raised in a God-based like religion, and then she was always like, but there's always the mother. You can't have one energy, a more masculine energy. Who creates that? Who births the world with? So you have to have the masculine and feminine. So my mom always, I think, opened up the space to not only see things for exactly how they are at that given time, and it could be different, and you could have these ideas and stuff like that. And it's not crazy to think outside of the box. It's not woo-woo, so to speak, of a holy mother, or it's not all those things. So I think it really kind of paved that way for me to always explore, curious about what I'm being taught, and never feel like I needed to kind of pigeonhole myself into this is right and wrong, and this duality of life. I also grew up, she's always been into holistic medicine as well. So I remember being like 10 years old and her like cranking the like hand crank for wheatgrass juicer, because there may have been electrical juicers, but we didn't have one. And buying like flats of wheatgrass, and like 10 years old, before I go to like 5th grade, here I am like taking a shot of wheatgrass. And so I think, and she's always like, oh, you're not feeling good? Okay, we're going to take this supplement, and we've got oil of oregano, and so I think because I've always been into this realm of like alternative medicine, I use air quotes because I don't consider it alternative, but this, it was always kind of ingrained in me in a younger age. And then I was very, very in tune when I was younger. I remember being very clear. I've been visited by, my belief is that our soul, or our true essence of our energy never dies, right? Because energy can never be destroyed. It's transmuted into something different and evolves. So I remember up into being younger and being physically visited and things happening, stereos turning on when there's nobody in the room, lights. I could actually ask, hey, can you turn that off? And it would turn off. So I think my awareness of what was possible outside of our physical, tangible 5 senses was extremely heightened. And then, like everybody, I feel like most people go through this period of like, that's not cool. And it's weird, or it doesn't happen to everybody, so you don't share, and very much influenced of like, okay, I was, 17, 18 years old, do I go to college? Do I do all of these things? And looking at, what made me the most money. I was very, very creative, so I wanted something that was creative. I ended up going to cosmetology school. I graduated early, so I ended up graduating cosmetology school at like 18, which most people don't even start until then. And getting into that field, and it was really beautiful because it cultivated a lot of my creative. But I felt like something was missing. And so I kind of went through these different areas of cosmetology and the beauty industry and landed in doing eyelash extensions. It was something that I ended up there because I had 2 kids in this in-between time. I was a phenomenal partner picker and have always been a single parent, and I have 2 kids. And I recognized that there was this common theme. And at the time, I didn't realize there were some things that I was doing that I was like, I remember getting a very specific download of like, in order to break some of the generational patterns that are happening, because I'm actually a 4th generation single parent. And so I recognized so many similarities that kept repeating themselves. And I was like, I don't understand. How do I get there? There's something missing. And when I recognized that there was this moment of like, if you have any more children, the cycle will continue. And being like, this is it. Your purpose is to break this generational pattern. And so after I had my son, I was very, very adamant that I was not having any more kids, not because I was like, I felt really like I needed to. I actually felt like that part of my purpose had been fulfilled and I needed to move forward. And so I didn't know how I was going to stop this energy that was being held of having to do it alone, and really denying this more like masculine presence in my life. But I started in the beauty industry. I started really actually taking a lot of measures very, very quickly. My business took off really quickly, and I think I embodied a lot more masculine energy in just who I was and in business at that point, that I was like, I'm fine on my own, I've got these 2 kids. So I went through all of these struggles of pleasing or looking outside of myself for acceptance, approval, and really getting to the point where I was like, okay, there were things that I was like recognizing as there was a very pivotal moment of my kids were playing on the playground. This point I owned this business, I had several employees, I was making 6 figures, I was doing really well. And I recognized like, this is not who I'm meant to be. I'm not fulfilling my purpose. I had all these things that externally really, for other people, I could tell you how many people are like, how do you do what you do? You own a business, you're a single mom, like blah, blah, blah. But I remember at that point I had hit just over 200 pounds. And I got on the scale and I was like, whoa. I didn't recognize myself in pictures at this point. And I was like, it just, again, those pieces weren't adding up. So I was like, okay, I need to actively start taking and investing in my body and my health. I don't want to be the parent that can't get on the playground with my kids. I don't want to be this parent that misses out on all of these parts of my life because I'm not healthy enough to do that. And so I went back to what my mom had taught me. Supplements and stuff like that. She was really good about the nutrition part, but I had this urge and this pull to yoga over and over and over again. I didn't take my first yoga class until I was pregnant with my daughter at 20 years old. And I was like, who takes their first yoga class pregnant? But whatever. So I was on a ball and doing stuff, so whatever. But I kept coming back to yoga, and I was like, okay, eventually I want to teach yoga. Well, at the time there were no like part-time programs or anything like that. It was like you leave your life, you go to Bali for a month, and you immerse yourself in the yogic culture. And I was like, I have 2 kids and a job with employees. I can't just leave all of that for a month. So I was like, okay, so it kept getting put on the back burner. So I started weight training. And at this point, I was doing eyelashes, and I recognized I was working for somebody else about 6 months or so, and I had this intense shoulder pain. And I had a little bit of scoliosis, so I was like, oh, it's probably that. And it got to the point where I was like, financially, I kept being pushed, like, you should start your own business. I had several clients that were like, are you going to like rent a room? Would you ever come to my house? All these other opportunities that were odd outside of just coming to get their lashes done. And I built a full clientele within 6 months. I was booked, and I was like, everybody's like, that's unheard of, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, one of my clients comes to me and she's like, there's a room to rent at this salon. You should, if you're interested, I feel like you'd be a great fit there, blah, blah, blah. Go meet the owner. We didn't really have an interview. She's like, please rent. I would love to have you here. And it was interesting that there was such this pull that I knew that things needed to change in my life. I had started weight training. I kind of had started on that path. And I moved into this space at the salon, and instantly a lot of my shoulder pain went away. I wasn't really doing anything different, and I was like, there's something to that. I've been being nudged this way, and I'm not doing anything different. My posture is not different. Like, nothing is different, but this intense pain is gone. And so that was kind of the first aha of like correlation. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I had started getting more into like the yoga philosophy and things like that. So it kind of evolved from there, but I definitely went through this period of, at the time I didn't feel lost. And I don't think you do. I don't think when you're living your life in such a way that you're searching outside of yourself, so when you're in the moment, you don't always necessarily feel lost because you've learned to search outside yourself for happiness. So you're like, okay, this person approves, so I feel good. I ate this meal, and so, I know I binged a little. I ate a lot of food, but I feel good. Like, I feel satisfied. But then it takes the almost stepping back and recognizing that things can be different, and does that really fulfill you long term? And when those things start to come up and you're like, no, it doesn't, what would make me feel better? What would make me feel more purposeful? Exploring that, what is working for actually me, and what am I doing just to please others, or because this is what society expects of me. And when you start to go against that, and it actually feels better, I feel like that's when you kind of have those moments of like, oh yeah, that actually didn't feel good. And so I feel like that's kind of where that started for me, was like, none of my friends were into yoga. And I was like, I'm doing yoga because it felt good. Everybody was like, how are you going to start a business? Like, you know nothing about running a business. You know nothing about having employees. I was like, I'll learn. It'll be fine. And it felt like those things felt better, even though everybody told me that I was crazy or weird, and there were definitely doubts. But I honestly think you have to have a little bit of, it's kind of like the light and the dark, the yin and the yang. Like, you have to have both sides, and you have to understand that there's going to, sometimes in order to experience light and experience expansiveness and experience all of the, love and things like that in such a way that is so magnified, you also have to experience a little bit more of contraction, a little bit feeling lost, a little bit of feeling kind of misguided, or those kinds of feelings, to understand and value the other. So
I love that. I love that so much. You said something right there. You said lots of things that are very valuable. I'm going to point out two things. One, probably the thing that gives me the most peace out of anything on earth, but I'm going to share that second. But I want to share with what you just shared just now, Shalane, because it's so important as far as how so many are, and I'm very thankful that I've always been the type of person where I'm kind of just asking myself for advice. Like, what do I want to do? Like, I've been this way for a long time. A lot of areas of my life that were challenges, especially like the I'll be happy when syndrome, and like not being present in the moment. There's lots of challenges over the years that have now become really strong attributes. But I'm always very thankful that I was certain of the path that in my mind I thought I was going, from a time when I was a kid, when I thought I was going to be a pro athlete, and then adult, kind of moving in different directions. But I see a lot of people, and I know you do too, that before they kind of make their next inspired action, like for you in your example, like doing yoga and like doing some other things, it's like they need to get like the approval and advice from like everybody around, which I'm not saying you're wrong for doing that. However, they haven't lived the life that you've lived. Like, they don't have the same life experiences. And so, as we're asking questions to, whatever it is that you resonate with, whether it be God, universe, all that is, source, spirit, and you're like, how can I get in better shape? Or how can I do this? Or how can I have the relationship? Or like, these answers are coming to you, not coming to someone else, because they're asking questions specifically for their life. So for us to ask, for answers from other humans, is just, we're kind of trying to give them the work that it's not really their place. So it can throw us off a lot of times when someone may not see it the way that you're seeing it. Maybe you want to start a business, or maybe you're excited about something, and then we go out there and we're excited. We take that excitement, but the vision that we have, someone else may not have that same vision. They probably don't.
Yeah.
Can rain on our parade, and then now all of a sudden, we're not going in that direction, and it's throwing us off because now we don't believe that we can actually do it. So I always love to because we have all the guidance that we need, like inside. Like we definitely don't need it from other humans. Not saying that if you have people that you trust and respect, that their input isn't valuable, but it's still being able to make the final decision as far as any inspired action, just based off of, Shalane said it multiple times there, as far as it felt right, like the intuition, like the feeling, like that's a really, really good, like if nothing else, does it feel, you said it this also, does it feel expansive or does it feel like contractive when it comes to, that's a really great gauge for all of us. And then I want to share one thing that you said quickly, but it gives me so much peace when you talked about, we all hear that, we're all energy, and that energy can't be destroyed. It just transmutes into a different form, which once I've discovered this, I'm like, well, the worst, quote unquote, worst thing that can happen is, Noel is no longer exists in this physical avatar, that right now is housing that energy that will transmute into whatever version, it wants to. I mean, I have no idea where I'm going to play after this lifetime, whether I'm going to come back and experience more life here or in another dimension. None of that matters because I'm enjoying life right now. But that gave me so much peace. But the way you said it, it's funny. I had a conversation with a friend a few days ago. They're a scientist. And up until meeting me, their perspective is, yeah, like energy isn't destroyed. However, the way that their outlook is right now, and I just planted a seed because I was like, I don't want you to take what I'm saying as like, this is the end all be all. Like you have, yeah. But maybe you'll have a seed planted, and if it fits, awesome. But I saw it as a way for her to have more peace because, from the scientific perspective, at least hers, it was, and the energy will change form. However, the consciousness that is us stays with the body is what her perspective was. So it's like we wouldn't remember or have any recollection of the essence, and that's what I liked what you said, like taking the essence of our energy, the true essence, with us, and that's how I see it as well. And I just gave her a quick little something to keep, as far as there's people on this planet, they're called mediums, that their soul, like passion, is connecting us with people that have left these physical avatars and now are just in the non-physical, and actually being able to connect with the true essence of them. And I've talked to lots of people where it's like unmistakable that grandma only told me this, and grandma, first thing that from the medium is, grandma wants to share this with you, and they're like, whoa, okay. So it's pretty cool when but you hit on that, and that gives me so much peace, because fear of death is probably one of the greatest fears on earth. And when I've discovered that, like, it's the worst that can happen is I'll just continue to be, maybe not in this physical avatar. That's why I enjoy the moment now, because tomorrow's not promised to any of us. But at the same time, it's not like the end of it all, to where it's like, oh, that would be depressing.
I know. I was like, oh, that's tough to live like that.
Yeah.
but really, I think so many of us, it happens a lot with kids. Kids are very aware. And it's interesting, people are like, oh, it's just their imagination, it's just their imagination. But because they haven't been taught out of experiencing beyond their five senses, they are open. I think part of it is actually, and that's what people are like, how do you see or feel those things? And I was like, the reality is I'm open to experiencing it. So I think just in this life in general, if you're open to experiencing things differently than as they are or as they're perceived to be, it will up your opportunities in just experiencing this life in such a way that is so much more vast than what you've been told or what what societally is like acceptable. And it's just very interesting, because like when I do some healings on people, like right away I'll be like, so-and-so's here, they kind of look like this, they're telling me kind of like same thing, like they're telling me something like this, and it doesn't happen for everybody, for me at least, like some people come through really easily and some people don't, but it is very interesting that I have a time at this point in my life, and at this point, science is backing up so much of this what was woo woo. It almost like it gives me such like joy to be able to be here at this time and doing what I do, because up until this point, if we look at ancient like civilizations like Egyptian and stuff like that, like the way that they actually constructed their, not just their physical structures, but even if you look at like their hieroglyphics and all of these things that we're now uncovering, they used a lot of crystals. They used a lot of sacred geometry. They used a lot of alignment with the cosmos and the stars and things like that. So it's such an incredible time to be alive right now, when all of these things that have seemed so strange and like, you know, spiritual and witchy is another thing. I was like, oh, sure, I'll be a healer, witch, whatever. That now there is so much science that's disproving some of these, like, you know, in the woo-woo closet, so to speak, or you know, putting it in those things that like, oh, that's just like made up. Those are just those things. And it's like, now that we have so much advancement in technology, and because people have allowed themselves to be open for ideas and things like that, like, you're looking at a time in time where we are getting we are seeing the shift of like, there's so much science to now back up what was believed to be, you know, just spiritual like jargon, or, you know, oh, that makes me feel better, go ahead and do it. But it's like the power of even like plants and stuff like that. There's all these plants, water. There's, I think it's on Gaia. I can't remember where it is, but there's actually a study that was done on water and the way that you speak to water, and when it was frozen, how it looked differently. And that's a really great example of just how much we are beginning to learn about how the energy affects our bodies, and how, if that, just speaking words like that, like, what do you think that does to your physical being? What do you think, you know, if that's something that's not tangible, why would it be strange that energy and essence of a person should die, so to speak? So it's a very cool time, like all the technology advancements and stuff like that. So
Absolutely. I'm so happy, Shalane, for everybody out there that is just open to just new awareness, new consciousness coming at any time from anyone at any moment. Because for those of us that are, it's a forever thing. Like, nobody will ever have all the secrets of the universe, like in this one like life experience. Like, it's not necessary. Like, it would be overwhelmed. Like, we just don't have a need for all of that. However, what we can use and utilize based off of what path that we're on will be attracted to us, you know, always in perfect timing. And that can give us a lot of peace to where we don't have to figure out, you know, how am I going to do this, or when am I going to do this, or who's going to be if I'm going to be in a relationship, or whatever it is. Like, that's just a great, you know, recipe for anxiety if we're trying to figure all that stuff out, and not, I mean, just realizing that life is just one ongoing synchronicity. We can't figure out any of this stuff. And so once I kind of grasped that, I was like, well, I'm going to stop trying to figure it out and get back to being, you know, doing what I can do, what I can control. Is what version of Noel am I going to bring to this moment? And for everybody out there, it's what everybody controls. Like, what version are you going to bring to this moment? Are you going to bring the angry, rageful version where you're like cussing everyone out like on your way? And, you know, that's going to be a dramatic day in your movie called Life. You're the star, so just be ready for that. Like, it's not going to be, I mean, you're not going to get home at the end of,
for sure.
Yeah. You're not going to get home at the end of that day and be like, this was just the most awesome day. And like, I met all these cool people and like, had these great ideas. Like, life is amazing. Probably not going to be your outlook after a day where you're just the rageful version of you. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's going to be definitely a part of the human experience that will provide some life experience and probably some new clarity of, ooh, it's kind of rough when I live like that. Like, let me try being a little more peaceful. and then that version will be different. So I'm just encourage everybody to stay off of all the details, like, you know, and get back to focusing on what version of you you're bringing now, and then let the details fill in, and, you know, life will unfold, you know, beautifully. Like, I don't try to predict any of it.
That's what I love that you said that, because it's interesting. I think people talk about manifestation and like the energy and stuff like that, but it's like that, like, okay, I'm choosing the next best thing that makes me feel good and really brings me joy, and like And instead of worrying about all of those details, because that you stepping into that power of joy and love and fulfillment and purpose attracts things that are in alignment with that same vibration of joy, alignment, and purpose. So it really frees you up to be truly who you are, as opposed to, again, feeling like you need to have it all figured out. A, again, overwhelming. I love that. And B, we're all so different. If there's no way that every single person could have all the same knowledge and have all the same ideas and have all the same purpose. What would be the point? We all have these unique energetic signatures, these unique patterns and alignments to our energetic being that is going to attract the type of experiences that are going to be for growth. And when we don't choose things that bring us joy and we choose, the anger or the frustration or the hate or malice or anything like that, we call in more of those experiences and continues to keep out of alignment with our purpose, with our joy. Like, you can't feel joyful and also be like, I'm holding all this malice for these people, right? Like, you are experiencing true joy. If you experience true joy, you would everyone. You would feel like everyone should experience those things. And so the more that you lean into things that bring you joy, the more you actually don't have things like anxiety, depression, things like that, because you know that you are creating the most perfect environment and container for things to find you that fulfill your purpose, your joy, that really support that. It's like, the tree doesn't ask for the moon to rise, that, it's too hot. The moon rises when it's ready, and they don't ask, it doesn't ask it to stay either, knowing that there's always these cycles, and when it needs something, it will come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this conversation, Shalane. I have a question for you that I always love to ask people, because anytime I ask a human being this, the answer will evolve the longer they live here on this earth, and because it's just more life experience. So it's a vision question, as far as like what your vision is for your life, what you're creating, and if you've thought about like your vision that you'd like to see for humanity or anything along those lines. And if I ask you this a year from now, you'll have what you would answer today, and then another year of life experience. So I always love to know. As of right now, we're recording this end of July 2020. What's Shalane's vision for everything?
Man, I was like, for this lifetime, my vision for this lifetime. I'm just kidding.
You could go there also. That'd be fun.
Right now, I had a very interesting experience. I was very privileged to be allowed to enter a Native American sweat lodge ceremony. One of the ones I was in, I've been to a couple, that I had this overwhelming sensation, which I think is interesting, because I have never, I've done a lot of business, and I've never set out necessarily that's never been my goal, was to be a business person. It always just kind of led that way. But I had this download from creator, source, whatever you want to call it, of you're here to help women heal and to put money and currency in the hands of women to do good. Which was, at the time, I was like, I don't do any, I was still kind of dabbling. I wasn't fully out of my eyelash business. I still had, and I was like, it didn't make any sense to me. But I think when you ask me that question, what I feel and what I would envision are, if I could project what the world would look like and what our society would look like in humanity, I think is more people allowing themselves to feel more deeply. And I think honor the feelings and not, we've learned to not feel and to put on these facades of I'm fine, it's not okay to cry, to be all these certain ways, and we've created this paradigm of right and wrong. And so I think mine would be honoring all of the human experiences as they are, feeling it to honoring all dimensions of those feelings, so that we can truly learn and integrate all of those experiences and be fully embodied in our soul's purpose, in our energetically aligned, so that we can experience life like that. I think we when you look at your life in so much right versus wrong and creating this duality constantly, you close off so many spectacular experiences from others, because again, there's all this judgment, there's all this expectation. And so for me, it is helping women heal and helping help the feminine energy of the collective, of our collective society rise, so that it can be more in balance, so that we can honor both masculine and feminine energies that reside within all of us, so we can feel more balanced. So we're not pigeonholed into being one way, that we can all experience life in the full spectrum of what it has to offer.
I love that so much. I love it because for those that do choose to step into that vision, and this is a beautiful thing for all of us. Shalane, you know this, for everybody out there listening. Whenever we have a vision, whatever it may be, and we embody that energy and we start living that as of now, and then we start to attract from there the people, places, ideas that are going to be a part of that vision. We attract other people to us that they're like, oh, I would like to see that in the world also. And then all of a sudden, like, you're attracting people that you can help. You're attracting other people that also want to see that vision as well. So it's awesome. But what I love, what you describe as far as for us feeling more, in order for us to do that, like, it has for that specific person that is going to be feeling more, they have to pay attention to how they're feeling. Their energy has to matter to them. We have to start actually being aware of it, which is one of the big reasons that I do what I do, because if it doesn't matter to you, then you will wake up on the wrong side of the bed and just be okay with just living that out for the whole day. Like, I've seen people post on social media, and I want them to tune in sometimes. So they're like, no, were you talking about me on social media? Yep, I'm talking about you out there. But I've seen people post that they woke up like kind of in a crap mood and like, I'm just going to live this day out like this just because. Like, you're aware of it, so you actually can do something about it. If you weren't aware of it and you were just like, you didn't know what was going on, that'd be one thing. But this particular human is aware of the value of their energy and like what is going to reflect into life. Maybe not as strongly as aware as they will be after choosing to go live a few more days. Like, oh, I'm in a bad mood, I'm just going to live it out like this. Choose that enough times, you may make a shift in that, because you'll see that it's kind of unpleasant, experiencing life where all of a sudden here's an accident, or here's something else, or I don't want to go there. So I love what you described, because for those that do step into that, it's going to matter to them what their present moment energy is, and not that there's any, like, I love how you said this with the duality, not that there's any right or wrong energy to be in. Like, you never hear me say anything is right or wrong, or you should or shouldn't do anything. However, I will just let you just know, just from my example and what I've experienced and how life works, is based off what you do choose and what version of you do bring to this moment. Again, that's what's going to reflect into your life in this moment and this moment and this moment. And then all of a sudden you look up and your life is what you see it to be now, because of all the right now choices that you've made up until now. That's what life looks like now. Great news for all of us is whatever we're going to manifest from here is going to be determined by what version of us we bring to right now and right now and right now. So it's great news for all of us. Like, it doesn't really matter what you've lived up until this moment. If you have the awareness, now you have the choice, and whatever you choose, I'm rooting for you, because I want you to create something awesome out there. That's why I like to ask the vision questions, so that it makes the whole world just more fun to live in, and I get to participate in whatever way, shape, or form. And we all came here because we're going to add to all that is, and at the same time, our souls are going to evolve being here. So I'm just rooting for everybody to be able to live that out.
Yeah. Well, and really, you're like, who wants to live out? Like that you're like in a bad mood or in a crappy mood, and you're like, at some point where you're like, this just doesn't feel good. Like, and you notice that more bad things have a tendency to happen. I'm like, listen, I'm just tired of coffee spilling on my shirt. Okay, like I need this to stop because I need to stay clean first of all, and now I'm upset my coffee is gone. You know, but like you're like, okay. So one of the great things that I teach like my clients is when you're experiencing that, and you're like stuck in that, like what brings you joy? What actually makes you feel good? Like I tell them, I'm like, put on your favorite song. Utilize the power of music, or say, you know, I give them like, we talk about mantras or words that make you feel good, or smells, or does it make you feel good to go outside? Like, if you know that you're experiencing that, you do have the ability to not just like choose, like, okay, I'm going to choose to be in a good mood, but you can physically create that for yourself, and that is so empowering. That it doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to be complicated. And that's the thing that I think is beautiful about like energy medicine is it isn't complicated. Like a lot of my clients, I'm like, hey, tap here. Everybody could tap there. You know, everybody, as long as you got arms, you could tap. So then maybe not everybody, but most people, you know, it's something that's really accessible for you. Or like taking an Epsom salt bath. If you are in the service industry and you notice you have a lot of clients who are draining you and making you feel like sluggish and yucky, Epsom salt actually draws away negative energy from your body. Feels great. It's great for your muscles and, you know, lactic acid buildup and all these other physical things. But energy is also physical and tangible and can be changed very easily. And salt is a really great way to do that. So it's like there's all these like little things that seem like they're not going to do very much. But if you think of the power of just words, and we kind of touched on this earlier of, okay, how do you feel when you say words like anger, hate, you know, malice, disgust? How do you feel when you say words like love, joy, happiness, peace? Your body, I was like, maybe I can feel it. I usually have them do like, okay, think of a memory that evokes those emotions, and then think of a memory that evokes like joy or whatever. And you can see and feel it in your body. So you have the power to instantly change the vibration of your physical being. And if you're wanting more money, you're wanting to attract a partner, you're wanting a more harmonious home with your children, you're wanting them to listen to you, first thing you can do is just do some of these simple things to shift the vibration of your being, so that way you can find things that match. You can begin to harmonize with those things around you. It's so beautiful because it's easy, but we really discredit how much power we have to really just completely embody that energy into our life instantly. It doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to take it. Healing can be instant, because again, energy can change instantly and transmute into something else. So can the energy of your being. Your healing can be instant if you believe it can. If you think that you have that power. If you don't think it's going to help, to say, I am, a being of love and light, and I choose to exude that today, and you don't believe that, you're like, that's not true, then clearly you need to energetically shift as much as you would like. But if you embody those words evoke feeling and meaning into your physical being, because we use language to communicate and to relate. So they mean something, and they hold a frequency. So when you choose those words and things like that to shift your frequency, it's really easy to be like, okay, I want to attract these things. What words or what simple acts can I do to shift those things quickly? And it can happen that instantly.
I love it. Such a great reminder, Shalane. And for everything, like Shalane is talking about, everything that we talked about in this whole episode, it can only be applied in the moment, which makes it so much easier for life for me. Because if I had to apply this, and it can only be applied in some future date or some past, but since I only have to focus on this moment, since that's all that ever truly exists, that's just what I lock in on. Is what version of me am I bringing right now? And if it's one where it's feeling good, because when you were saying I can feel it in the body, yeah, we all can. So we have to pay attention, and it has to matter to us. If we're not checking for it, then there's no reason for us to even notice it. So I always tell people, Shalane, that once you notice energy, then we're all 99% of the way there as far as living the life we want. Now the 1% is It's eternal because it's always in the moment and it's always a choice. So we can have all the awareness in the world, be 99% of the way there, but still choose to be, angry for that 1%, 1% all day. And then
Agency is powerful.
yeah,
And that's the thing is you like the beautiful thing is you do have that choice, and that instead of feeling like, oh, I didn't choose right, what you can say is, in this moment, 1 second later, I can choose differently.
mm-hmm.
And to know that you are this beautiful creatrix of your own life in moment to moment to moment means you continually get to choose that. And so you never then, I feel like it releases a lot of the judgment of past, judgment of self, judgment of others, expectations that keep you feeling things like shame or guilt or things that make you feel low vibey, for lack of a better word, but make you feel yucky. Nobody likes to feel shame, but I can choose not to feel that and forgive myself. I can choose forgiveness in the next moment. And so it's like you don't have to be. I love that. I love that you said it. You don't have to stay that way. Like you are continually choosing, which means even if you've chosen something and you didn't like, you get the option to choose again. This agency is so powerful.
Absolutely. Yep. Nope. Nobody's permanently, and I don't let people, Shalane, label themselves as permanent around me as far as I'm an anxious person. No, you're not. But sometimes you allow yourself to be anxious.
Yeah. You feel anxious.
Yeah.
It's like when people I love when, especially when I started personal training, I feel like a lot of people say that it's I'm fat. And I'm like, no, you have fat on your body. You are not fat. Just like you are not any specific one thing. You are not anxious. You feel anxiety. And when we strip away these labels, we're we are just, again, energetic beings experiencing something. And this skin suit is our vessel. And how cool is that we, all experience it a little differently because all our boats, all our vessels are a little different.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. I'm going to ask you one more question and then anything that you want to promote to the audience that you have going on now that they can participate. But you guys definitely connect with Shalane because all the energy you're feeling from her in this episode, definitely, I know she's putting into everything that she's doing now and then will create ongoing as long as she's here, which will be another few hundred years like the rest of us, I'm sure. But anything that I didn't think to ask you that you've been noticing yourself sharing a lot with either yourself or your clients, and knowing that the internet will live for another, long time. Somebody could listen to this episode 20 years from now, and I just want to make sure that if anything wants to flow out of you, any subject of life, any area of life, doesn't matter what it is.
Ooh, that's a good question. So in yoga, this is the first time I heard this, but I recognized that I was already applying it without realizing I was doing it. But your inner world is truly, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So I think I find myself sharing that a lot because I end up working with a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the online space. I think because that's where I do mostly online, distant healing and stuff like that, and digital courses. But when people are struggling in business or in relationships, what we usually do is when I do healing sessions, the same thing that they're seeing in their business or their relationships is the same thing that's going on inside of them. They're having a hard time. They don't realize I'm having a really hard time scaling my business. I hit this and I can't seem to get more money. I'm stuck at $3,000 a month or whatever it is, and they're it's frustrating, blah blah blah. And what we would go into is recognizing that they actually don't feel worthy. Their lack of self-worth or their lack of what's going on internally is just reflecting to them on the outer side, and that is very cool because it allows you to, where most of us, we all live in the physical world, so these are all being shown to you as a lesson. How do you arrange your unique energetic signature in such a way that is aligned with your purpose? Look where you're having some of these struggles. What can you learn? This is where your energetic body is out of balance. So I would look into a specific chakra. Usually it's their first or their second. For feeling of worthiness and receiving money and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, we go into like some childhood things and stuff, and I'm like, these are things that you've been feeling about yourself for a long time. So when you get on these sales calls or whatever it is, you're experiencing that same because they're mirroring it to you. They're trying to show you where you have deemed yourself unworthy of receiving it. So how do you then, shift some of these things? There's some practices and stuff like that I do, but if you look at life in such a way that, okay, if I'm experiencing everything externally that's also going on internally, I think it takes a lot of the, it allows us, especially if it feels, you're kind of curious and you're getting into spirituality and you're seeing all these things that feel good and you're like, I don't quite understand some of these things. You can look at physical because you've been conditioned to observe only your physical world, experiencing it through your 5 senses. And instead of discrediting feeling, instead of discrediting energetic shifts within your body or stuff like your gut feeling that you've ignored, it becomes more of, it brings that awareness to those things so much more quickly for you if you are not trying to, if you're trying to learn about yourself and all that you know is to learn through physical experience of the, through the 5 senses, through your physical body. So I'd say that's probably the one thing, because I felt like that's the most poignant lesson that I keep coming back to. Is it's very interesting to see it being reflected in your business as a reflection of your how you feel energetically. Like, is your chakra system aligned? No? Okay, well, this one correlates with this. Let's work on this. Okay, in your relationships, you're struggling with this. Okay, well, we look at your chakra system. We look at what's going on internally and how you feel about it. It's the same thing. Okay, if we can do that, you're able to attract your partner and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that would probably be my lesson, just because it's something that's tangible and everybody can look at their outer world that they're used to looking at right now. They're used to seeing those things and begin to apply it to your inner world and your spirit, your thoughts, your energetic alignment.
I love that. You just answered this, but I'm gonna tee you up to just like drive it home because it's a great question from looks like pro skate cycle rider. But they said that so the question is, so you need to be in good relationships or you will never succeed.
Yes, but not in the way that you think. A good relationship to yourself. One of the best things that you can do is to continue to honor your truth, to take pleasure in things in life, really experiencing, not relying on good relationships with other people necessarily to dictate your level of success. So I usually, the lower 3 chakras have to do in the way in which you relate to the physical world. So I always call your 3rd chakra like your CEO chakra. It's your powerhouse. And if you continue, this is why, usually you have gut feelings. You have butterflies in your stomach. There's all these references to how you feel about yourself in that moment in the solar plexus, which is right where your diaphragm is. And so when you are in a great relationship with yourself and you're really honoring your truth, honoring your purpose, following your joy, great relationships come to you because you are vibrating at the frequency in which the people that are in that same energetic alignment as you are going to come to you. You're naturally going to attract these people that also want to honor their truth, that also lean into joy, that also find love in all parts of their lives, because you do the same. Because again, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So.
Great answer. I love how you answered that. Thank you for that. And so you guys on Instagram, this is getting ready to come to a close in 1 minute and 20, and then I'm going to close out with Shalane over here on Zoom. But thank you for that question, because I love how Shalane, how you just answered that. And yeah, and when you're what you're referring to as success, whatever version of that, whether it's success in relationships or health or financially, it's going to be exactly what Shalane said. Like with the inner world, how that's going on, how you're vibrating. It's a great question to ask. Like, how will I feel when I have the relationship or the health goal or the financial goal? Like, what does that feel like? Like, you're really embodying, like, feeling that energy, like you're experiencing it now, and then living that out, and then noticing when, wait a minute, like, I'm not living that way now. It's like I'm going to live that way when it actually manifests. Well, life doesn't really work that way. And I used to try to live that way a lot. Like, well, I call it the I'll be happy when syndrome, which it's going to be, when is going to take a long time if you can't be happy now.
Like the words try and should. I want to throw try and should out. They have no power here. You are either doing it and you're embodying the energy, or you're not, and which is fine either way. Again, like getting rid of the duality, but you're choosing one versus the other to embody either the energy that you want and honor your truth, or you're choosing to honor somebody else's truth and give them the power over your energy.
Absolutely. You guys share this. It'll be on Instagram for 24 hours. Awesome. Cool. I don't think you can see the countdown over there, but I it was counting down for me because it gives us an hour. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, awesome. I don't think that you can see the countdown on Instagram, but it shows it shows it to me. Oh,
I can hear you now.
It'll tune back in. I just I just took my headphones out so that people could hear it on Facebook. But this is such an awesome conversation, and you shared so many valuable things. Do you want the audience to know, as far as besides connecting with you on the social medias, anything that you have going on right now that you want them to, or that you'll have going on coming up that you want them to know about?
I do. So I'm always booking energy healing sessions. So you can click the link in my bio to join that. And I'm currently creating a container for the energetics of entrepreneurship. So it will go through your 7 chakras, how it relates to business and life, and how again, aligning your energetic body will then allow you to create the life, the business, the relationships, the clients that are really aligned with how you want to serve and how you want to show up. So that will be coming soon. Looking here probably in about a month to launch that. So keep an eye out for that, probably the end of August.
I love it. I love it. You guys definitely connect with Shalane on all this stuff, because what I know about life is any life experience is going to serve us. And so whenever I have like any curiosity, is like, that's interesting. Like, I want to experience that. I just take that inspired action because I know there's something there for me that will help me on my journey. I don't know what it is yet, but there's something there, regardless of any life experience. Every life experience serves us on our journey. So especially the ones where it's like, I'm really curious about this. Like, this could be something. I want to treat this as an adventure.
Right.
So I really like to live life that way, and I encourage people to don't second guess. Like, if you want to follow someone or reach out to someone, like, just do it. It's going to be something there for you for sure.
Well, and the reason you're getting that like nudge and that little, again, like gut feeling, oh, I should reach out to them. Like, not everybody gets that. So if you're receiving that message, it's probably because there's something in it for you. And so when you don't follow those things, eventually you tune out your intuition and your inner knowing. So it's a really great way to that's a really great intuition practice, is just to continue to lean into the nudges.
Absolutely. I'm so simple, Shalane. I literally ask myself, like, in this moment, what sounds most fun and fulfilling, and then that's what I do. So, I mean, I have the things that I have scheduled, but everything that's on my calendar is fun and fulfilling when it comes to these conversations. So it's just that this life simplified is like, in this moment, out of all the options that I have, like, take away the quarantine restrictions. Okay, that's not an option right now for those things. So not one of the options. So don't think about it. Now, the options that I have left, out of these, what sounds most fun for me, what sounds most life-giving, expansive, and that's the option. That's just how I choose. I'm not saying you should choose anything out there. You actually never hear the word should come out of my mouth either, or try. I had a mentor years ago that had a pen in his hand, and he said, Noel, this is not a pen, it's crystal, but he said, Noel, he's like, try to take this pen out of my hand. And I'm like, he's like, nope. He said, just try to take it. I was like, you can't try to take it, can you? You can either just take the pen or not take the pen. So,
exactly. Well, it's a good analogy. I love that.
So, yes, those words have been eliminated from my vocabulary as well. But Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful energy with me and the audience. And I know it will be impactful for you guys streaming this right now. Just hit the share button, and you guys will definitely make an impact on someone. And I'm happy we're connected now, Shalane, and affirming that this is our first co-creation and that there'll be more co-creations in the future in whatever capacity. But I know you're going to keep creating awesome things, and I'm happy to know that you exist. Like social media makes it to where we can connect with people.
It's a beautiful tool. Like when people are like, "Oh, social media," I'm like, if you use it like you should, if you use it like the social platform, there are these beautiful opportunities to meet. Like I was like, we have never technically met, so to speak, but like your energy is so great. This has been such a great conversation. I feel so honored that you would ask me to be here and to speak with your audience, and it's just such a cool tool to connect to others in the world. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you. We're mirroring each other, as you know, and I always tell people that whenever they compliment me, I appreciate it for sure, and then at the same time that what they're seeing in me is as a reflection of what's vibrating in them, right now. And great reminder for all of us, like whether it's a compliment we're giving or a slanderous, condemnation that we're giving, that's what's going on inside of you as well. So just food for thought. I love it. Well, thank you guys out there. Definitely leave a review on iTunes and say that Shalane Human, she's awesome. Like I love the things that she shared about this, and I'll screenshot it and tag her and all of that stuff, and that'll make it easier for people to find not only this episode but all the rest of them. And so thank you guys out there, and look forward to connecting with you guys soon. Sending so much love to you all, and we'll talk to you guys real soon. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stop the stream, Shalane, and I'll say bye to you. 1 second.
Cool.
Bye, streaming world.